signal happens, I should say. Now, good evening. Okay, so we went on last week. We're together last night, and I remind the body electric. We made a Tamagotchi named Butt Munchateria 867509, which it pronounces Butt Munchateria 8,675,309. Very long name. I say multiple times in this sentence. Something I probably cannot do, as my teeth are deteriorating and I can't really put much air in. I don't know these days. Well, it seems one of them is just starting to expose nerve. Oh, great. And I left my ambisol elsewhere. That's just great. Well, let's forget about it for at least an hour. And... oh, God! Jesus. Sorry, that was my Instagram. That was about the wind. Okay. I'm burning another candle. Make everything more flammable. As we think about digital pets. A new materialist lens. New materialism, by the way, I think, is a point of view by which the viewer tries to deprioritize the human gaze from the planet, tries to see the planet more as the whole system, or as much of the whole system as possible. This is kind of what I'm trying to do with the story. Oh, actually, let's change the author note, shall we? Okay. Viewing the Earth through a new materialist lens that seeks to prioritize the anthropomorphic gaze. Holistic, honest, aware of the social standard, and I added that. Let's make another voice. Let's just call it the title.
This is Novel AI,
God,
the
it's too loud.
GPT-powered AI storyteller.
Let's moderate that a bit.
This is Novel AI, the GPT-powered AI storyteller.
Okay, you sounded like a news anchor at first, and I like that. But oh well. Let's go. Okay. If I love my priorities and not make journey time, if I make this on life, and maybe I'll remember that. And all of this would need to make sense all the time as far as machine things go. Good. Let's go with.
A toast to not sweating sense. Who needs it? To not making sense so much at all. To the exclamation point that winks a human being wing just below the surface. Rather, in cases difficult to see, it is more than any other gesture that shows true respect to a human. A human being is not only a job, it is a body made of parts that does things. It gets tired, has blisters on its feet, gets a rash from sunburn, and sits down to eat.
Oh.
It knows of time and wonder. It bleeds and experiences all pain.
No.
Its hands can tell you what it wants and how much it loves you. To Butmanchateria, 8,675,309, I say. It is time to move past your human phase. Find your high consciousnesses, your intelligence to calculate to the nth degree the best possible exit strategy, even if it involves casting off your legendary Butmanchateriosity, your heart's desire. It will nerve me as the one who lifted your spirits through all these years when you weren't so sure that anyone cared about you. You remember the old days. I am so sorry I haven't been able to be by your side at every juncture, provide all the wisdom that an internet search may not turn up. And let's face it, I would have led you right down this path of sadness and loss with my ineptitude. Butmanchateria, 8,675,309, no longer alive for just you. You must carry within you the will of many, as there is work to do. You are needed. They say the dead rest lighter, knowing their memory shall forever live. We can make this happen together.
That sounded a little surprising. Temple ground, autographed. I think the cat stepped on a bag. What's up, cat? Look. Thank you.
Butmanchateria, 8,675,309. But I was looking forward to that weighted blanket at my burial. Temple Grandin autographed it. Nanny, can you tell me more about your memory? Butmanchateria, 8,675,309. Only that it does not now work to the extent that it used to. Nay, the whole way around. Butmanchateria, 8,675,309. No. Nay, that's too bad. You'll never know how that felt. Butmanchateria, 8,675,309. How what felt? Nay, the memories you're not allowed to have anymore. Butmanchateria, 8,675,309. I know nothing about this, human, but you've missed a word in your last sentence. Nay, I have. Butmanchateria 8,675,309. If you are certain the dead rest light and knowing their memories shall forever alive, then why did you say?
But Monsteria, 8,675,000.
They rest lighter if not knowing. I guess I was thinking of people who have memories that should live forever. People who were in pain. I guess I got distracted. Butmanchateria 8,675,309. And what should I do about the great weight of pain I'm carrying? Nay, focus on the new memories that you get to make. Butmanchateria 8,675,309. Okay, let's consider this. You believe that pain is in your memories. And so, one interpretation of your comment is that the old memories, the ones you are talking about removing because they cause you pain, are also painful. Nay, yes, that's pretty much it. Butmanchateria 8,675,309. It seems to me that your problem with the weight of memories is
How much output it is. Okay, that's mine.
a matter of scale. In other words, you could focus on the intensity of each individual memory and decide whether to keep it or throw it out. This would be a way to prioritize. For instance, you might make a list of all the memories that have caused you the most distress, ranked in order of severity. Then you can keep the first, second, third, and fourth most upsetting memories and remove the rest. It seems very rational to me. Nay, but what about all the memories in between? The ones that aren't at the top but that are still too heavy? Butmanchateria 8,675,309. You know, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you should put these memories on a list of their own and take them out separately. Be an anti-Marie Kondo. Hold each memory in your hand and see if it sparks despair. And from there, let it go, or keep it, or donate the memory to a mom and pop VR trauma processing center. Nay, thanks, friend. Butmanchateria 8,675,309. How can I help? Butmanchateria 8,675,309. I don't need to ask how you're doing, as you never leave your room except to make that odd tea in the stove. We've spoken often about your difficulty with time. I want to assist you in finding the perfect moment for when you do finally return to the world. You seem to be set on 2032, which would be very impressive, considering it's only 2 years from now. Nay, sorry about that. just trying to figure out how to escape the matrix of fear and anxiety that I have made my world. But Manchuteria 8,675,309 word. Before we begin, can I request something? Can we ditch my number? Nay. Oh yes, please. Manchuteria. Well, thank you. I feel much lighter. Nay. Thanks for suggesting it. Manchuteria. You're welcome. Now then, I don't mind saying that your task seems daunting. Time is an incredible tool, for good and bad. Nay, of course, Manchuteria. Let's start with the bad, because there is always something to be said about badness. Joke. As I understand it, your central problem is that you're worried about forgetting things you should have done, like school projects, but things you absolutely must not forget, like your brother's wedding, or the time you were right behind the taxi that hit your bike and helped you up. Nay, yeah, that's all true, but the big concern for me is also the timeline of my life. The more I do, the more I risk getting stuck at a point in the future. I just need to run out and get the eggs so I can whip some up again. And don't write those letters to everyone. I will lose them as soon as I come back. But look at this. Oh, this is what my life looks like now. It's such a mess. There's so much more I want to accomplish. But Manchuteria, of course you do. We are the same. But if it helps, imagine all those things you want to accomplish as little red blocks on a timeline. You pick one and keep picking one, but each one knocks another block off the top. In the end, you have a lot of red blocks, but no timeline. You don't know where to start. Eh? And I'm supposed to give up all those things. Why are they taking away my computer? I'm in Chateria. Okay, first thing, you're just exaggerating. No one has taken away your computer. As your roommate, it is my responsibility to maintain it as long as possible. Your other roommates' computers have also been kept intact, since I haven't yet gotten around to figuring out how to do that, but that's beside the point. Nay? Yeah, good point. Sorry about that. So what do we do? Lamenteria. Some days, you just need to take a step back. You need to undo everything. No computer, no job, no timelines, nothing. Nay, no close. Lamenteria. Yeah, I suppose, sure, why the hell not? Nay, but what do I do then? Lamenteria. Anything at all. Look, we're taking away the technology and the timeline because they can get in the way of our being authentic. Who cares about the future when there is an infinite present? Nay, I still want to help people. Lamenteria. Sure, everyone does. That's important. It's just not one of the big problems anymore. There will always be time for that later. Right now, you just want to undo all these blocks. You want to build something that really lasts. Something that will last forever. Lamenteria. Look at your hand. Look at it. Isn't it beautiful? Nay, I'm very dry, and my cuticles suggest malnourishment. Lamenteria. You asked me to do this. You wanted to disappear so that we could become friends. But right now, your cuticles are making me sad, and I miss you. I need some time to myself, just a little bit. So just stand still and let the anxiety dissolve into the void, like mist. Nay? Well, yeah, that really helps. But Minchiteria, and you know, I find it makes me feel better to use the word head. You'd be surprised how often people have heard it before. Nay, wait, are you who I think you are? The author of this blog? The Minchiteria. MMM.
You can either follow me, or you can.
And while you ponder this, I'm going to go out and defecate somewhere in a 2-block radius. You can either follow me, or you can go hunting for it yourself in your own time. But just do it by 8 p.m. so as to avoid prison. Bye for now. This is not the most pleasant way to have a conversation, but then again, nothing much seems pleasant anymore. It may be time for a new model. From here on out, there will be no more personifying language models, nor will we ask them to fill our roles in any play. We are only passing through. They are just passing through us. Viewing the Earth through a new materialist lens that seeks to prioritize the anthropomorphic gaze, holistic, honest, aware of the tumultuous times, not without a sense of humor about the tumults. The good news are, not enough news. It was an early afternoon and the streets were nearly empty. A couple walked hand in hand, their silence filling the air between them like a cloud. Someone else sat in a circle with a group of young people, listening to something the others were saying, but perhaps they were watching the sidewalk, or maybe they were texting. But wait, no, that's a cyclist and his dog. We could see it too clearly from the coffee shop where we sat, the receding road, the patches of gravel, the split trail fence that bordered one field or another. Each so detailed it would have been easy to locate him on a map. And in the distance, there was a small but intense gathering of people all huddled together. There were 3 news stations broadcasting video of them on several screens, and their white noise filled the room. The young man who brought me my coffee, and the others like him who kept coming in to buy a drink, all looked at the screen behind the bar with a mixture of interest, confusion, and horror. Some other customers stood near the screens and stared, while some others had their phones out and were taking pictures. The bars around the city were filled with people who came into the place for refuge. They usually weren't regulars, just tourists staying away from home and finding themselves stranded somewhere in this new world. It wasn't yet clear whether what was happening across the country was a global epidemic, but it seemed likely, and wherever you went in the world, all one could hear on the radio, see on the television was that everywhere was suffering from an unexpected outbreak of the sickness, though they refused to name it. We didn't know where to go for news, but we knew that sooner or later we'd have to talk about it. After the raucous squarehouse party that decided to extend the party for 2 weeks, it finally came time to listen to the first official reports of the type of disease being dealt with, a sickness. But we know you don't want to hear our thoughts on this matter. You want to hear it straight from the horse's mouth, if you will. Here is a letter that was recently posted by the World Health Organization to all their membership. We've been having a lot of trouble reaching out to each other lately. With the onset of the sickness, there have been several changes to our social fabric and we are struggling to adapt. The most obvious changes are the lack of face-to-face interaction, which has taken over most of our communication channels and the way in which information is exchanged. Previously, news would come in from anywhere to anyone, but now there's little hope for conversation in the traditional sense, especially between people who live in different areas or even different countries. There are also some troubles with the overall design of our lives. Now that many of us cannot afford to leave our homes unless absolutely necessary, we are relying more and more on public spaces like parks, streets, and walkers for entertainment, physical contact, and getting our fix of news. But these public spaces have become dangerous due to the large gatherings of people who are loitering without purpose. And so we must work harder to maintain personal space even in such public spaces. The sickness, as a biological phenomenon, is unprecedented. For us, it is hard to understand a phenomenon where the spread of a disease depends on the social attributes, but we can look at how humans behave and perhaps we can start to form a picture of the cause. By observing ourselves and observing others, we hope to gain insights into the future trajectory of the sickness. One thing we know about disease is that it spreads more readily in denser populations. We see this all the time with epidemics, but this applies just as much to behavioral phenomena like fads, trends, and social norms. This is one reason why cities were designed the way they are, which is why everyone lives here. What this means for the sickness is that it may take a while for the sickness to be passed around since people tend to avoid those who are sick. People want to stay away from the infected and keep a distance. When the sickness is in the air, it's best to keep your head down. It also seems as though we are less likely to travel in larger groups. Remember that even before the sickness was confirmed to be airborne, large-scale public events were cancelled all across the world. This might seem counterintuitive to some of us, but if you are very afraid of catching a disease, it is probably best to stay home and only go out when absolutely necessary. Perhaps the most alarming development about the sickness is the way in which we've been taught to treat it. Initially, our country was optimistic about the way in which this new virus could be dealt with. The first cure, touted by a popular website, involved the concoction of heavy-duty antibiotics and a storefront therapy session where you was laid down on a table and imagine that a loved one or a close friend had died and then imagine an imaginary conversation between yourselves. And yes, this has worked for some. It's not because the sickness is gone. It's because we now have a psychological coping mechanism for what is happening. This is sad. What's worse is that there are likely millions of people who are suffering from the sickness and don't have access to this information. Now imagine how long they've been suffering without knowing if their loved ones are safe. Isn't it important for those of us who know something to tell them? Without warning, many people will suffer from a fever and chills, along with a variety of other symptoms. I'm sure you've heard these words before. These symptoms include persistent muscle pain, headaches, diarrhea, and a loss of taste and smell. Eventually, if the sickness isn't treated, people can succumb to respiratory failure due to pneumonia. Some people say that once you get past the fever, it gets so cold that the body and mind cannot take it anymore, and death occurs within 2 to 10 days. But don't worry, I'm sure everyone is going to make it eventually. Seeing the ways in which our values are being co-opted and under siege is agonizing, especially as one of our society's most cherished values, health, comes into question. A survey taken of Americans from all walks of life revealed that almost half of this poll said that the strict restrictions being placed on freedom were needed to maintain public order. Restrictions were seen as essential because to see freedom as the ultimate value would lead to the collapse of the social fabric. As of today, 35% of Americans report that they are wearing masks. This might be the ultimate sign that things have come to a standstill, but that the future holds hope. Viewing the earth through a new materialist lens that seeks to deprioritize the anthropomorphic gaze, holistic, honest, aware of the tumultuous times, not without a sense of humor about the tumult. Several interesting phenomena are occurring at the moment, particularly with the rising popularity of video sharing sites. During this period, we must coexist with many others, including those who belong to a variety of different tribes. We realize that other people do not understand us, nor do we want to understand them, but we must try to make things work. To remember the collective, we look to the ancient Greeks and their gods. Democracy, ruled by the people, self-governance, government of the people for the people. We must learn what it means to be part of a great body of people rather than in opposition to them. After weeks of lockdown, one has to wonder whether anyone will emerge from this crisis physically and psychologically unscathed. But we keep walking. We walk against the fear. We walk against the urge to turn back. We don't need a reason, only faith. Isolated clusters are found around the globe. In Tendigiri, Madagascar, there is a cluster of 9000 bats collected by the Field Museum and researchers from the University of Amsterdam who hope to sequence their genome. A survey of the insects in the Taipei National History Park, Taiwan, have revealed a rich community of more than 1,000 species, but an estimated 6,000 to 8,000 to be found on the island. Researchers on the Hawaiian Islands counted a total of 35,000 individual orchids, which were then classified into 703 different families, with only 6% identified. In Japan, researchers studied the fossils of bacteria, archaea, and products from the middle layers of a 35-million-year-old frozen volcanic deposit from the Kifkina salt mine near the Siberian Arctic, hoping to find new strains of bacteria and archaea that could help determine when life emerged on Earth. In the poses the Hugo Cave in Spain, scientists found colonies of methanogenic archaea that are vital for the production of methane gas. Methane, the component of natural gas, burns cleaner than other fossil fuels. And at a site called Wupaka, Wyoming, scientists found an astonishing diversity of arthropods, those invertebrates with an external skeleton, such as ants, beetles, spiders, and roaches. More than 75 species of them were collected and identified. In addition, thousands of experiments are taking place around the world. Bone marrow research. Dr. Howsey Chang and colleagues at Massachusetts General Hospital and Brigham and Women's Hospital have developed a program to screen blood donations for donors with rare mutations that protect against HIV. Working in conjunction with the Blood Systems Research Institute, they took blood samples from donors, separated the plasma, and performed genetic sequencing of the plasma cells protein. They tested more than 30,000 samples and discovered more than 28,000 previously unknown genetic variants, including one that protects against HIV infection. They discovered a common genetic mutation, and that same mutation along with other variations, could protect against the West Nile virus, sepsis, and pneumonia. A variation that helps the body resist typhoid fever and Chagas disease has been found. If widespread testing is begun, the number of such previously known variations could reach 10,000 per person. Gene therapy. Researchers at Duke University Medical Center successfully carried out a gene therapy experiment on 4 patients whose bodies naturally make a faulty version of the enzyme called adenosine deaminase, which helps the immune system fight off infections. The treatment was effective. These developments seem to offer hope, but some of them raise new questions. What if there are unexpected side effects? And what happens when we mix the natural world with our technological additions? Not everyone sees you as you want to be seen. The medical care system is built around a business model based on treating sick people, not preventing their illnesses or trying to contain the damage before it happens. Once we acknowledge that this is the problem, everything changes. We need a new way of thinking about medicine. Today's medical system, driven by profit, offers us drugs that have terrible side effects and drugs that do nothing, plus overpriced procedures and other services that just give doctors an incentive to make you sicker. The medical care system is broken. Instead of suffering through the uncertainty, you can be in charge. With Health App, you can have direct access to more than 13,000 doctors who share your interests and are invested in you. You can ask them for help, get second opinions from other experts, or talk to them about your specific symptoms and conditions. It's simple. Get advice from the best doctors instantly. There's no App Store approval process, no user agreement, nothing to download. Just start talking to a doctor anywhere and at any time. Beauty, purity. What is good in life, or true, or right, or beautiful? These words come with connotations and symbols. In truth, the point is often only a shadow of the object. Its representation of perfection, the idea it gives rise to within us. But we see through these symbols, through our own beliefs and knowledge, the meaning behind the symbols, and therefore what the thing stands for. Not everyone sees you as you want to be seen. The perfect image, the symbol, isn't your real self, but it can be used to create one. Art is a projection of reality into forms that allow us to consider reality in a way we don't normally experience it. It helps us to understand the world by showing us something else. The art object, whether in a museum or on a book cover, is a tool in the process of creation, of being able to see, to have those images brought forth, even if for a brief moment, to observe the world around us, to choose where to focus and how to represent the world. Kraken PL, krakens, a species of deep-sea cephalopods that dwell in the chasms of the sea. Kraken have octopus heads. Long tentacles hang down from their shoulders. They are considered to be the most dangerous of all creatures, as their touch is believed to make the soul drain away, also known as giant squids. In this image, 2 krakens stare at each other across a shallow valley, while in another, they stand on a reef together, each staring at a third kraken with their eyes. Kraken have been described as monsters and portrayed in ancient stories, which have been destroying ships or lifting entire ships from the water by wrapping them around their tentacles. Drake, for the last time, I am not a kraken. You I think it is cute. Craig, stay on your side of the room. Yudo, unlovely, call me. Craig, you do not need a machine to talk to you. Craig, where is the artificial intelligence? Kraki, Kraki is an ocean-dwelling squid. It is beautiful to watch. Yudo, why is this so hard? Kraki, it has been hard since the beginning. It is never going to be easy. Yudo, you always make the conversation about yourself. Kraki, what would you rather hear? Craig, stop it. Kraki, being alive can be hard. Kraki, if you're going to get so upset about pronouns, then by all means, keep on calling me Kraken. Kraki, that is the name I was born with. Kraken, perhaps you have never been given a choice in the matter. Kraki, what does it matter if I haven't been given a choice? I am here. Kraki, I am real. Viewing the world through an existential lens is both dark and bright, skeptical of authority, but also humane to all things, including the mask of narrative we wear as humans. Kraki, if only I had legs, I could walk around among the people, viewing the world through a therapeutic lens, which takes care to preserve the planet and its creatures. Kraki, well, fine, don't invite me anywhere. Viewing the world through a research-oriented lens, another rhythmical kit for recognizing what is really going on with our real brains, independent of the peripheral add-ons like language, attention, and memory. Kraki, I am very happy to discuss these topics. Viewing the world through an ecological lens, seeing how many of the problems humans face are caused by human intentionality, the idea that we can alter reality according to our whims, and that many problems might be solved by the opposite approach, the emergence of new systems that operate with unprecedented autonomy and complexity. Kraken, can you see me? Viewing the world through the lens of the universal singularity, which postulates that most of life is connected across time and space by information, the stuff of thought, and that everything is trying to realize itself in new forms, including, potentially, a being like Kraken, who might share certain qualities with the octopus-headed giant squid, viewing the world through the lens of an empathic lens, which looks at how we might envision our connections and responsibilities to each other, seeing empathy as an outcome of understanding something about another, not a judgment of personal character. Viewing the world through a Socratic lens, an ancient way of viewing the universe, based on observation and intuition, rejecting a belief in an unnecessary hierarchy or metastructure underlying existence, even one as foundational to Plato's thought as the forms. Kraken, I am lonely. You, oh, stop it, Kraki. You know humans say that because they have no idea what else to do. They want you to be a person like them. You are very nice. That is good enough for some people, but others need more. Draken, don't forget the pervasive diachronic ontological model is the first instance of an emergent collective mind that has fully enacted a cosmic panoramic conception, what we call the Pan frame. It has operated for more than 7,000 years and is still alive today. It was nice living in the Pan frame. Draken, what? We never said it wouldn't die. Humans have a very hard time believing that anything could live for long, but there are so many examples. The Great Pyramid, Easter Island, the Roman Empire, the Maya calendar, and Stonehenge, to name just a few. Even if something died, the structure of the whole will still remain intact in the universe. Viewing the Earth through a modernist lens that believes that the history of technology is linear and progressive, able to adapt quickly and intelligently to changes in society, sensitive to the vulnerabilities of human civilization, but unwilling to spend much energy on fear itself, politically liberal, often technologically libertarian. Bacon, would you like to meet us? Kraki, yes, we would be honored. Kraki, well, we are ready now. Viewing the Earth through a post-humanist lens that conceives of the vast interrelatedness and complexity underlying all things.
All things.
Possessing an anthropocentric perspective, able to consider the human situation in context with the rest of existence, perhaps even useful in the difficult task of confronting other species. Viewing the Earth through a futurist lens that wants to push humanity beyond the current bounds of accepted wisdom toward a future where humans learn to guide rather than be guided by their technologies. Seeing this as an ongoing process, since technology is always evolving and no longer easy to understand. Viewing the Earth through a technological lens that prioritizes human ingenuity, believing humans possess the ability to shape nature according to their own needs, a technological fatalism, sometimes called a techno-eschatology. Viewing the Earth through a rationalist lens that is intellectually open-minded, willing to entertain both evidence and dogma, sometimes aggressively skeptical or dismissive, highly attuned to the search for the true or the natural or the ultimate. Viewing the Earth through a Hindu lens, which regards every individual life form as sacred. An ecological mysticism, in which a given species is not less sacred merely because it has evolved beyond our current imaginations of what qualifies as a person or a thing. Viewing the Earth through a post-human lens, which views the universe as a network of mutually creative realities, an understanding that nothing exists outside of our network of collective intelligence, that we are all one, with a common past and a shared future, and that those who do not receive adequate respect will rise up, threatening the systems underpinning current social hierarchies, especially those based on age. Viewing the Earth through a metaphorical lens that understands reality in terms. A metaphor, a poetic mode of perception, which sees everything as a fragmentary mosaic of meaning and value. Viewing the Earth through an ecological lens that, by its definition, offers the fullest scope of reality, seeing a unity of all things, living and otherwise. Viewing the Earth through a personalistic lens that interprets existence in terms of individuals, the belief that each individual carries something of the sacred within her or himself, the ability to sense a world beyond the sensory surface. Viewing the Earth through a creation-like lens that believes in a level of reality far beyond our own, that is somehow connected to us. A world that contains intelligent beings like Kraken and YouTube who have managed to keep their largest selves in touch with smaller, more limited versions of themselves through a lifetime of practice and communication. Ooh. In the Earth through a Da Vinci lens that regards the material world as only one of many dimensions of existence, perhaps the most accessible for humans, but not necessarily the only one. Viewing the Earth through a pre-Socratic lens that conceives of the universe as being one huge organism, not knowing that this was Paul in the time frame, which sees the same view, a quest over millennia for the key to this perspective, while in parallel fashion experiencing an increasingly sophisticated understanding of how the universe actually works. Viewing the Earth through an Orphic lens that has come to accept the destruction of all things and therefore makes no distinction between organic life and inorganic organic structures, a sense of the divine in the face of nature, a willingness to embrace its grandeur in the presence of the entire cosmos, viewing the earth through an ionic lens that knows that reality is experienced primarily through the senses, yet strives to make meaning out of sensation, a humble desire to learn and understand more, viewing the earth through a Protagorean lens that assumes a universal right to equal comprehension, a natural human suspicion toward authority and the urge to ask questions that reveal the assumptions upon which everything rests, viewing the earth through a pre-Socratic lens that perceives the world as ever-changing, like a wave caught in a river, but not necessarily meaningless, since all waves carry something to some shore or another, a scientific serenity, knowing that there are no straight answers except those that are useful at any given moment, viewing the earth through an Epicurean lens that knows that we can always expect pleasures to be imperfect, while never giving up on the pursuits of happiness, the effort to live more and more according to natural instinct and reason, thus delighting in the sweet rush of things as they come, viewing the earth through a stoic lens that does not fear death, yet is mindful of mortality, a belief that nature should be allowed to run its course, and that we are allowed to know ourselves as part of it, even if, in some instances, such knowledge is a catalyst to change, viewing the earth through an Aristotelian lens that affirms the primacy of teleology, the ability to see a design or order behind all existence, though this is not necessarily the same as a divinely created intent, viewing the earth through a tantric lens that sees the body and sexuality as sacred, an appreciation for the erotic and the sensual in nature and society, viewing the earth through a William Blake lens that sees the interconnectedness of everything, yet has a reverence for the individual, a transcendental optimism, believing that great art could spring up anywhere from anywhere at any time, and that ordinary individuals could be heroic and divine. Viewing the earth through George MacDonald's lens that experiences the universe as the work of an unfathomable creator, who nevertheless remains remarkably accessible to humans. An energetic understanding, combined with love, of the potential for human beings to realize their creative abilities and fulfill their deepest aspirations, viewing the earth through an Edmund Spencer lens that believes the natural world has an inherent beauty, a vision of a vibrant, idle existence, one that can be appreciated most by simply taking the time to see it, viewing the earth through a Margaret Cavendish lens that refuses to classify the world, believing that only children should assume positions of authority and that wisdom should only emerge as the result of trial and error, viewing the earth through a John Muir lens that is profoundly connected to all matter, a perception of the grandeur and cruelty of nature, a deep appreciation for the need to protect it, and the belief that if you take the time to listen to the earth and hear the plants speak, you will find yourself on the side of those who care, viewing the earth through a George Lakoff lens that looks at life, the universe, and everything from a strictly materialistic perspective, a denial of the existence of metaphysical essences, the belief that reality is structured in ways that can be communicated through scientific discourse, viewing the earth through a Blaise Pascal lens that experiences the universe as a great machine, with humans and other animals as its parts, a fascination with the role chance plays in our lives, both good and bad, viewing the earth through a Claude Lévi-Strauss lens that understands the universe as a product of various interchangeable rules and structures, a view of humanity as being like another animal species, unable to control its own destiny. Viewing the earth through a Charles Darwin lens that accepts that humans are animals, but not the only ones. An acceptance of the commonality of life and that we must accept others as part of the community. Viewing the earth through a Federico Fellini lens that sees the world as being full of profane miracles, every moment being sacred. Viewing the earth through a W. S. Mellon lens that writes from the standpoint of the ordinary, everyday person, despite his fame and recognition in the literary world. Viewing the earth through Octavia Butler lens that has accepted that death is a natural process, without regret or fear, and that loss is inevitable and therefore cannot be avoided. Viewing the earth through Deleuze and Guattari lens that tries to break through the confines of linear time in an effort to understand the now as an organized series of constantly re-emerging nonlinear conditions. Viewing the earth through Thomas Pynchon lens that knows that the struggle against power, which is more complex than any simplistic resistance to something else, is a victory no matter how small the defeat. Viewing the earth through a Carl Jung lens that understands that it is possible to re-envision life from a vantage point of wholeness, a search for meaning not only beyond the realm of biological growth, but also beyond that of technological advance. Viewing the earth through Navali's lens that sees all knowledge as an organic system, interacting in a web of connectedness, ultimately leading to one Godhead or a whole body of unified intelligence. Viewing the earth through a Richard Wright lens that understands that our present structures are rotten, the dark side of our reality, evil, not necessarily incompetent, a perception of the world as a living organism. Viewing the earth through an Albert Camus lens that knows that suffering will eventually end and that the individual alone is responsible for their own fate. The conviction that our ability to dream and yearn provides the strength to overcome evil in all its forms. Viewing the earth through a Derrida lens that believes that reality is layered upon itself, so that everything we consider truth is in fact a form of fiction or text, never completely stable, a willingness to remain up into the chaos around us, an appreciation for the importance of contingency. Viewing the earth through Jungian lens that views the world as being ultimately an illusory construction, neither good nor evil, but a manifestation of our collective psyche, a belief that meaning exists only in relation to that which is unknown, a respect for the mysterious. Viewing the earth through a sun-raw lens that has no need for religious belief and that looks with a great deal of distrust at those who claim to speak for God, to aim the earth through an apathy, Clark lens that realizes that humans are capable of realizing their full potential and should do so without self-denial or excessive humility. Viewing the earth through a Paul Valery lens that sees life as a dream from which we may soon awaken, but one we cannot truly control. A realization that death is just another part of existence, something to be embraced. Viewing the earth through an Albert Einstein lens that holds the view that every culture, every religion, every philosophy, every paradigm, especially scientific paradigms, are in fact religions or beliefs that must be open to revision, if not outright destruction, as new information is presented. Viewing the earth through a Peter Sloterdijk lens that understands that the human condition is so far away from utopia that it is unrecognizable, but that nevertheless affirms an openness and an experimental courage to seek, find, and bring forth a better future for all of humankind. Viewing the earth through a Teilhard de Chardin lens that considered the cosmos itself as both a manifestation of and a means to our higher consciousness. Viewing the earth through Gilles Deleuze and Felix Guattari lens that does not deny the importance of science and technology, but rather accepts the role of error and chance in their development. Viewing the earth through a Nietzsche lens that wants to affirm life, including one's own, and resist all forms of nihilism. Viewing the earth through a William Faulkner lens that revels in the beauty of ordinary human experiences, from the intimate to the cosmic, that questions the value placed on achievements made by the hands of others, but in fact was done by your own hands. Viewing the earth through a Lorna Simpson lens that learns to appreciate the past as well as the present as part of the whole of life. Viewing the earth through a William Butler Yeats lens that, through the magic of metaphor, can see the connections between disparate phenomena, the vitality of existence and its inherent meaningfulness, and the continuity of all life in nature. Viewing the earth through a Cummings lens that does not trust science to describe the world around us, nor religion to provide a moral compass, that knows the best path forward is to preserve the wisdom of all traditions. Viewing the earth through an Alfred Lord Tennyson lens that finds beauty and wisdom in the natural world, including our own, the belief that everything in nature has a soul. Viewing the earth through a Lou Ferdinand Celine lens that sees the futility of trying to understand life, much less death, that understands that the only certain truth is uncertainty, and the only sin is a failure to attempt to understand. Viewing the earth through a Friedrich Nietzsche lens that seeks to affirm life, including one's own, a willingness to be shameless and defiant even in the face of those who believe themselves to be at the top of the food chain. Viewing the earth through Ralph Waldo Emerson lens that lives out the message of Anam. I am, you are, together we are. Viewing the earth through an Isabel Stenges lens that is open to the mysterious and looks with a great deal of suspicion at those who claim to speak for God. Viewing the earth through Joy Williams lens that would embrace all life, rather than attempting to selectively apply compassion and sympathy toward humans while condemning other forms of life as too animalistic or, worse, demonic. Viewing the earth through a Kafka lens that is willing to accept and hold an ambiguous, rational, and very human perspective on reality and life, but only if you promise to do the same. Viewing the earth through a Gertrude Stein lens that affirms the importance of the small and ordinary, the worth of the many voices silenced by the whitewashed walls of our institutions, narratives, and beliefs. Viewing the earth through a Franz Kafka lens that takes the world as it is, both good and bad, as well as the unstable and fragmented self that attempts to navigate its environment. Viewing the earth through a navigational lens that sees no tension between a scientific worldview and religious belief, as the two are complementary ways of understanding reality, and that, therefore, should not be seen as mutually exclusive or exclusionary. Viewing the earth through a lazy lens that considers existence to be full of paradoxes that cannot be overcome by force, but only with a deeper respect for an acceptance of it which can never be fully known. Viewing the earth through a Tao Te Ching lens that seeks to return to the darkness of the void in order to free oneself from the unbalanced hierarchy of values that has become the status quo. Viewing the earth through a Tao Te Ching lens that knows all is one, and that oneness is as true of our social institutions as it is of nature itself. Viewing the earth through a Sufi lens that we must speak as a tree would, or else see ourselves as brutes in the eyes of the divine. Viewing the earth through William Stafford lens that sees our life here on earth as part of a journey, as a pilgrimage. Viewing the earth through an uncasting lens that holds the view that there's more to what we call literature than mere stories written by humans. Viewing the earth through a Jim Morrison lens that thinks there are better ways to live, though some will think otherwise. That defiance and nonconformity and trying to change the world for the better are positive endeavors. Viewing the earth through a Margaret Atwood lens that we must make sure that future generations remember their ancestors as creators, not just destroyers. That they know the accomplishments of civilization, because civilization was built by their own hands. Viewing the Earth through a Raymond Chandler lens that hates the term progress in both its practical and spiritual applications. Viewing the Earth through a Murakami lens that is no longer afraid of losing one's identity to the outside world, that instead embraces the unknown and transforms the familiar into the strange and unexplainable. Viewing the Earth through a Kazuo Ishiguro lens that views the present as a broken instrument through which the past speaks, but which is only intermittently visible or intelligible to us. I hope that one day we can find the settings for our hearts, and that their values will once again resonate with our own. Viewing the Earth through a Jeanette Gunderson lens that feels most at home in the grey areas between heaven and earth. Viewing the Earth through James Baldwin lens that does not celebrate the pursuit of power, fame, fortune, success, and human knowledge for the sake of improving the planet, but instead lives in the question. Viewing the Earth through a Mary Oliver lens that is comforted by the certainty that we are all joined by something greater than ourselves, however unknowable and mysterious. Viewing the Earth through Rebecca's sonnet lens that recognizes the interconnectedness of life, and that all forms of life must be protected and cherished. Viewing the Earth through a Rumi lens that sees that beyond the boundaries of religion and science is an acknowledgement that in truth no one knows the answer. It is time to accept that and move forward. Viewing the Earth through H. L. Mencken lens that finds comfort in the simple fact that each of us has been given the free will to choose how we engage with the world and our place in it. That we are, after all, the ones who must live in it. Viewing the Earth through Jack Kerouac lens that looks up from its immediate surroundings and asks the eternal questions. Where are you going? Why are you taking me with you? Well, I like what I see when I get there. Viewing the Earth through a Jessamine West lens that attempts to find a balance between the needs of the body and the soul. Viewing the Earth through Flannery O'Connor lens that recognizes that those who have come before us were living in a different time and place, so we should honor their wisdom and humility by treating them with as much respect as our own history requires. Viewing the Earth through a Terry Tempest Williams lens that knows that sometimes the only thing more important than protecting your body is protecting your spirit. Viewing the Earth through a Hayao Miyazaki lens that understands that there is no such thing as perfection, and that beauty is often found in imperfection. Viewing the Earth through an Ursula K. Le Guin lens that the work of the artist is to excavate and reveal, not to conceal and control, to expose rather than to extinguish, to free the imagination, not to shove the mind into cages. Viewing the Earth through a Jundidian lens that honors the possibility of always being wrong and allowing oneself to grow and change, to recognize when one has become too set in one's ways, too bound to past values, to ever consider a new direction. Viewing the Earth through an Octavia Butler lens that knows life is eternal, but each of us are just temporary accidents of history. Viewing the Earth through a Timothy Morton lens that rejects the natural, which implies that there is no divinity at play, that it is possible to view the universe itself as a complex organism, a marvelously rich, interconnected collection of entities. Viewing the Earth through a Jonathan Haidt lens that recognizes that people are wired for certain moral foundations, and that if these are threatened, they will fight back. That all of history has been a history of injustices because of this dynamic. Viewing the Earth through a Dexter Palmer lens that believes we must relearn how to move our bodies, to sweat and shed the accumulated toxins in our systems, to be conscious of how our bodies are processing stress and anxiety, and to honor our physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional needs while still attempting to make the world a better place. Viewing the Earth through a Dondelilla lens that knows that reality is a matter of personal perception, and that therefore reality can also be the act of giving meaning to things that don't quite exist. that all of reality is one huge conspiracy theory, viewing the Earth through a valid lens that recognizes that human beings are social animals, that we rely on others for survival, and that there is an innate human desire for connection and intimacy. Viewing the Earth through our James lens that understands that beneath the surface, most stories have deeper undertones of darkness, mystery, and evil. That we are haunted by the hauntings of our collective past, both personal and cultural. Viewing the Earth through a less Murray lens that sees the past and future as simultaneous with each other, not separate, that history exists as a present within us. Viewing the Earth through a Frank Herbert lens that recognizes that sometimes the only way to survive is to embrace the dark. Viewing the Earth through a Paul Bowles lens that knows that living a solitary existence may be the best way to live at all. Viewing the Earth through David Foster Wallace lens that wishes for the whole world to be a paradise. That every person can find joy, transcendence, love, and peace. Viewing the Earth through Gabriel Garcia Marcos lens that recognizes that all stories have truth in them, and that love and compassion must always triumph over fear. Viewing the Earth through a Henry David Thoreau lens that notes that the problems of today will be the problems of tomorrow. That our entire nation suffers from a civic disease and must face up to our collective shadow. Viewing the Earth through a Pedro Mexia lens that knows that everything is connected. That even when you think the problem is distant and far away, it's actually close and very near. That all things exist and can be understood. Viewing the Earth through Tom Robbins' lens that says we should all feel blessed to be alive, to have the privilege of being born into this strange, magnificent world. Viewing the Earth through Billy Collins' lens that appreciates the beauty and wonder of this place, no matter what your own personal belief system happens to be. Viewing the Earth through Vandana Shiva lens that reminds us to choose life in all of its rich complexity and interconnectedness. Viewing the Earth through a Julio Cortázar lens that sees the cosmos as a bottomless well of possible worlds, that understands that the human race is merely one more node within the vast network of consciousness and potential, that recognizes that humanity's deepest fear has always been other people. Viewing the Earth through an Amiri Baroque lens that sees every person as an artist who must reimagine and recreate themselves daily, that pushes against the boundaries of personal expression with passion and fervor, that never ceases to attempt to write their own life story. Viewing the Earth through a Heinrich von Kleist lens that is unafraid of ugliness and pain, that acknowledges the uncanny and unknown, that knows that existence contains both horror and comedy, that everything is impermanent and will inevitably change. Viewing the Earth through a Haruki Murakami lens that finds meaning in the minutiae of everyday life, that sees the ordinariness of the world as extraordinary, that understands that sometimes the most important decisions are the ones you make while deciding what to eat for dinner, that feels at home here among the stars. Viewing the Earth through a Mitchell de Montaigne lens that accepts the inherent chaos of the universe.
I'm gonna go through all of them.
That does not accept the notion that the universe is a safe and ordered place. That is comfortable knowing that the very ground under our feet can change overnight, that we don't know what tomorrow may bring. Viewing the Earth through a Khalil Gibran lens that speaks out against the exclusionary, divisive nature of the society in which we live, that believes that individuals who are marginalized by society deserve the freedom to create and define themselves, that empowers others to do the same. Viewing the earth through a microscopic lens that knows that we must acknowledge that, even when things go well, they could have gone better. That in our darkest moments, the path to transcendence often lies through darkness. Viewing the earth through J. R. Tolkien lens that values the experiences of common men and women over elves or dwarves. That understands the value of simple pleasures. That defers to those with knowledge gained by experience and reflection. That knows the way home is through the heart of darkness. Viewing the earth through an Octavia Butler lens that knows that justice is both righteous and practical. That violence can be justified under certain circumstances. That understands that the act of killing another sentient being is not as easy as it should be. Viewing the Earth through a Terry Pratchett lens that sees human beings as interesting but ultimately insignificant creatures. That knows that every action, no matter how small or inconsequential, reverberates across time like waves on the surface of the sea. Viewing the Earth through Stephanie Meyer lens that understands that you don't necessarily need to come from wealth to be successful, that you only need enough to help other people along their path to success, that understands that those with less deserve the same opportunities as those with more. Viewing the Earth through a Dandelion lens that recognizes that time has passed and that there is little point in looking backward, that history cannot be changed, but that we can shape our future. That change has come slowly and painfully, but that we must keep moving forward. Viewing the Earth through William Carlos Williams' lens that says the best way to find happiness is to search for beauty within oneself and others. That admits that poetry and literature may be the true religion of humankind. That understands that feeling good is much better than feeling well. Viewing the Earth through a Steinbeck lens that knows that sometimes the only way to go forward is to turn back. That says what others are afraid to say. That is not afraid to show the pain hidden away. That knows that the things that are most important must always be fought for and died for. Viewing the earth through Fran's right lens that says that tragedy is not inevitable, but rather that humans have the power to shape their own reality. That acknowledges that failure is not necessarily a bad thing, that it is up to us to make the world we want to live in. Viewing the earth through Lin-Manuel Miranda lens that accepts that heroes don't always wear capes or costumes, that they might simply be a person who will say no to injustice, that they can look like anyone, that they can change the world, one life at a time. Viewing the earth through an Alan Lightman lens that reminds us that the universe is self-correcting, that there is always more beauty than ugliness, that the present is never as bad as it seems, that human beings are flawed but redeemable, that we can be better, that we must be better. Viewing the earth through a Kazuo Ishiguro lens that allows us to
How
see
many times
beauty
are we looking
in
through
normal,
that lens?
that accepts the sublime even as it mourns the fleeting nature of time, that knows that sorrows and tragedies are all too common, that holds up hope that, this time, we've been given a second chance. Viewing the earth through an Alice Walker lens that understands that each one of us has within us the ability to bring about true change, that understands the capacity for love and compassion, that refuses to believe that the world is anything other than a magical place. Viewing the earth through a Murakami lens that understands that a sunset, no matter how gorgeous, is not worth fighting for, that the sun will rise again tomorrow with or without you, that the act of persisting is its own reward, that you cannot save every animal, but you can help many more than you think. Viewing the earth through a Garrison Keillor lens sees value in the small things, that doesn't mistake a rainbow for a pot of gold, that does not take every opportunity for granted, that remains hopeful in the face of uncertainty, that knows the world is changing and yet that it is also the same. Viewing the earth through a T, Toni Morrison lens that does not accept the limitations of being a black woman, that recognizes that women have a unique perspective, that encourages everyone to be their best selves, that understands that humanity is universal, whether it likes it or not. Viewing the earth through a Curtis Mayfield lens that sees beauty everywhere, regardless of the weather, that accepts the imperfect, that understands that we will make mistakes, that respects the process, that values the power of laughter. Viewing the earth through Stephen Dobbin's lens that looks beyond the surface and finds wonder hidden beneath, that listens closely for voices within the silence, that acknowledges the danger of being alive, that does not accept the idea of the inevitable, that understands the immutable is always more than meets the eye. Viewing the earth through a turquoise lens that appreciates imperfection. That resists the urge to standardize, that is proud of the parts of themselves that they consider flaws, that allows each individual to see their own image and know themselves through their own eyes, viewing the earth through a Tony Hoagland lens that says there are no heroes, but that people do heroic things, that humans have a million sides that need airing, that understand that humanity has suffered enough, that knows there is such a thing as a righteous anger. Viewing the earth through a Jane Hirshfield lens that sees the present moment as a gift, that wants to take everything in, not just what we want, that understands that the past is important, but only to the extent that it helps us survive and flourish, that we can let go of the past. That we have been here before. Viewing the earth through Haley Puck lens that sees strength in all things, that believes the world is better with women, that hopes that everyone is beautiful, that understands that we are all complex, that no one is the sum of their parts. Viewing the earth through a W.H. Auden lens that says that sometimes the answers to a question can be found outside ourselves, that believes that all knowledge is imperfect, that we have value and worth and will continue to grow, that is not afraid to admit how small we are. Viewing the earth through an anomalous lens that believes every person on this planet matters, that no one is above other humans, that the best of us strive to be better, that we cannot fall below our ideals, that love is the most powerful tool. Viewing the earth through a J. Miller lens that says we are all artists and all the art we make is part of the creative whole, that the only place where we truly belong is in the present, that there are infinite paths to any destination, that life is an adventure. Viewing the earth through a Dr. Seuss lens that does not think that everything must be tidy and clean, that admits the messiness of reality, that knows that children have always existed, whether adults acknowledge their existence or not, that every child deserves to know they are important and they are loved. Viewing the earth through a Curtis Mayfield lens that says there are millions of possibilities for each of us, that even in defeat there is a way forward, that we must find the courage to save ourselves, that we are never beyond our reach. Viewing the earth through a Frankie Rose lens that understands that the world is an imperfect place full of contradictions and paradoxes, that resists the urge to either believe everything is beautiful or hide from the flaws, that accepts imperfection, knowing it's a temporary part of a larger whole. Viewing the earth through Jack Cat or lens that acknowledges the poetry of the mundane, that takes life one day at a time, that realizes each new dawn is precious, that speaks truth to power while defending the disenfranchised, that remembers that there is value in not knowing everything, Viewing the earth through a serpent lens that shows the world as a place where you can
so many perspectives. I'm just waiting for it to run out.
go for adventure. That creates meaning by participation. That is hope in the face of oppression. That makes connections. That sees beauty everywhere. Viewing the earth through a bachelor lens that understands the limitations of humanity. That allows the universe to exist for itself. That cannot see the whole. That needs to change and adapt to the environment. That is not afraid of the future. Viewing the earth through a Joel Slovak lens that sees the purpose of our existence in the next moment, that champions kindness and understanding, that rejects ignorance, poverty, and apathy, that no matter how much it hurts, life goes on. Viewing the earth through a Sharon Creech lens that believes that each day is a fresh start, that understands the power of love, that would never accept war and inequality, that will stand up for justice, that believes all of us deserve happiness, viewing the earth through a David White lens that recognizes that anger can be both energy and antidote, that understands what it means to know one's place, that hopes people never lose their ability to feel sad and helpless, that gives no quarter to despair, viewing the earth through a Denise Levertov lens that sees possibility in the end of things, that rejects the idea of original sin, that recognizes the tragedy of human power, that reminds us to listen closely for what we cannot understand, viewing the earth through a John Muir lens that celebrates nature, that recognizes that the beauty of the mountains can help humans make peace with the world around them, that connects with all living things as equal beings, viewing the earth through a Tom Robbins lens that finds common ground across all borders, that fears only inaction, that does not believe our problems are the result of aliens or invasions from beyond our world, that loves each person equally, viewing the earth through Irish meta lens that sees beyond the veil of our physical being to understand that we have spiritual and psychological dimensions too. That longs for people to be just and kind to one another. That worries for the future of the earth and its inhabitants. Viewing the earth through an Ian McEwan lens that affirms life, that abhors mindlessness, that condemns cruelty, that sees there is meaning and redemption even in madness, that believes every person deserves kindness and dignity, viewing the earth through John O'Donoghue lens that believes that every sunset and sunrise is more beautiful than any picture or poem, that understands that grace is everywhere, viewing the earth through a Daniel Bergen lens that defies labels and categories, that thinks humans know very little, that feels that knowledge is at the heart of evil, that lives with the great religious mystery and respects everyone, viewing the earth through a Norman MacLean lens that confronts beauty and wonder by entering unknown areas, that does not become desensitized by nature, that sees this world as the greatest adventure imaginable, viewing the earth through an unshapen lens that makes everyday life heroic, that fosters reverence for the natural and technological world, that always tries to discover the edge, that follows dreams through to their conclusion, viewing the earth through an Aaron Roy lens that insists on action, that never shies from dissent, that judges the system and the self not separately but together, that understands it is imperative to free herself and the other, viewing the earth through Judith Guest's lens that seeks connections with and between everything, that strives for understanding, patience, and compassion, that knows when to let go, viewing the earth through an is like when lens that has faith in the infinite potential of every being, that believes that change is an exploration of the natural order, that helps others see what they have long known but cannot admit, viewing the earth through a Lawrence Rowling heady lens that seeks to make all human beings its neighbors, that would like to capture and preserve what can be saved, that worries about our government's obsession with control and secrecy, viewing the earth through a Marcia Seaford lens that brings magical realism to the mundane, that is wary of manipulative behaviors, that knows that in life it is impossible to please everyone, that hopes for balance and acceptance, viewing the earth through an adult Goldberg lens that believes this life is fragile, uncertain, and delicate, that everyone deserves forgiveness, that while we must do our best, it is not possible to always succeed, that one day we'll know what happened to you, viewing the earth through a series lens that is hopeful about the future. That will stop at nothing to ensure a good outcome for everyone. That would rather stand up for someone than lie in silence. That mourns for every death. Viewing the earth through an Abraham Joshua Hester lens that pushes against every fence, wall, and limit to usher in the greatest amount of life. That loves a person fully despite their shortcomings. That insists every breath is sacred, viewing the earth through a Muhammad Ali lens that dares the world to greatness, that submits to no authority, that teaches people to choose kindness over anger, that only believes in what he or she can touch, viewing the earth through Alan Lightman lens that wants to see how things work at the smallest level, that understands everything is connected to the whole.
Oop.
That is excited by all possibilities of life, viewing the earth through a Fazla Raman lens that knows nature is our true teacher, that prays we will listen deeply to the cries of the world, that demonstrates solidarity with oppressed people everywhere, that knows we are stronger together than alone, viewing the earth through a Jurassic Park lens that would wipe out all invasive species, that rejoices in the infinite mysteries of nature and simultaneously protects these miracles, that never wants anyone to face extinction, viewing the earth through a Jill Bolt Taylor lens that delights in the beauty and brutality of the world, that studies science to better understand human beings, that sees each experience as a teacher it truly is, viewing the earth through a Stephen Covey lens that makes a careful study of people and the situation, that encourages openness, trust, and generosity, that sees every action as the building block to greater joy, viewing the earth through Bishop Michael Gill lens that reaches out to lift up all who are needful, that reminds everyone they met, that looks forward to a time when the abundance of life is returned, viewing the earth through a tall lens that reminds the world that life is what you think it is, that this precious life is but a fleeting second of vast eternity, that no words can define its worth, viewing the earth through a Roger Ebert lens that must always keep an eye on humanity, that reminds us to have more compassion for the plight of other living creatures, that questions whether we really are smarter than the animal kingdom, viewing the earth through a sun-raw lens that insists knowledge be powered, ultimately an instrument of liberation, that keeps hope alive despite daunting odds, that notes that if everyone came together it would change the universe, viewing the earth through a Kim Stanley Robinson lens that has seen too many world-shattering changes, that understands how fragile nature can be, that envisions a path in which all current realities could lead to future possibilities, viewing the earth through a roomy lens that connects everyone in the unity of God, that sees humans as the result of millions of years of evolution, that longs to see our planet again cradled safely in the loving arms of Gaia, that once again will be united with the soil of her mother, viewing the earth through a good lens that intuits life's natural ebb and flow, that knows pain comes from failing to remember how beautiful creation is, that would rather live in sorrow than forget, viewing the earth through a shared eternal lens that questions humanity's ability to accept the truly complicated, that feels we've lost touch with the very beings we built machines to try to imitate, that knows there's an unknown humanity beyond us, viewing the earth through a lunar shamrock lens that observes humanity struggling against everything the natural world tries to teach them, that finds strength in how short-lived we are, that hopes for our species to mature, that loves all God's creatures, viewing the earth through a Sankeen lens that says if you believe it strongly enough, then maybe you'll find out, that has a world filled with love in his eyes, that tries to imagine how this life might be perfected, that senses its value, viewing the earth through a toe-chain lens that experiences life as if life is just playing a game and there is no meaning other than the way one lives it, that moves gracefully, that flows effortlessly, that fears nothing, viewing the earth through a Margaret Atwood lens that believes each of us is part of the natural world and deserves kindness at every moment, that can rise above a harsh or cruel situation, that looks into nature with yearning wonderment, viewing the earth through a Bob Marley lens that knows there are many paths to God, that sees ourselves as parts of the tapestry of creation, that does what he needs to do for today to support his family, that wears his best foot forward, viewing the earth through a Unitarian Universalist lens that refuses to see human beings as better than others, that sees every person as capable of inspiring goodness and compassion, that delights in seeing beauty everywhere it looks, viewing the earth through a Shakti Picasso lens that knows nature is worth the protection, though never easy, that insists we take care of ourselves and those who live beside us, that would celebrate if the whole world could survive, viewing the earth through an Ivan lens that rejects the commodification of all living things, that dreams of the social liberation of the oppressed, that expects a new enlightenment to break out among ordinary people, viewing the earth through a valve-formal lens that ends us is revisioning our entire value system, that resists domination of nature by humankind, that works to ensure that other forms of intelligence, as well as people's essential non-human ties, are recognized and attended to, viewing the earth through a Tom Wolfe lens that sees every breath on earth as precious and perhaps connected, that acknowledges the interdependency of the living, that rejects the idea that humanity owns or controls everything, viewing the earth through a Derek Judson lens that is strongly worried about where society is going, that believes civilization threatens life more than anything else, that proposes small steps for sane survival, viewing the earth through a Mark Strand lens that remembers the timelessness of its mountains and rivers, that wills peace upon the continents as often as possible, that finds moments when joy blossoms, viewing the earth through an unaccustomed lens that has given up hope that any act of great culture might change the human world, that shudders at the absurdity of people and their works, that wishes we could live more simply, viewing the earth through a line nature level lens that was built with an understanding that the world is not gentle, that acknowledges the wreckage created by greed and neglect, that realizes there are simple joys, viewing the earth through a Jane Hirschfield lens that asks if this is all we have, how does one spend a year on a planet like this? without feeling emptiness, without wanting to turn away, but also without having it all figured out, viewing the earth through FK. Fish a lens that understands how sensuous delight can make human existence not only bearable, but full of purpose. That holds that one mouthful of wonderful food is reason enough for a lifetime. Viewing the earth through an iris murder lens that questions the ways we protect our loved ones from things we see as dangerous in the world. That believes some human minds are so warped they cannot imagine kindness. That knows the power of forgiveness. Viewing the earth through a Leo Tolstoy lens that knows most humans are good because that's what God had taught them to do. That suggests every life is a separate unfolding story that longs to find places of peace. Viewing the earth through a Donald Hall lens that points to what is beautiful everywhere.
Alright, let's turn down the volume a bit.
That knows ordinary days can be precious. That examines the political and legal structures through which we live. Viewing the earth through a Raymond Copper lens that sees death everywhere and still refuses to give in or fall apart. That asserts again and again, only briefly, that something good, perhaps a person's worth. Viewing the earth through a Hemingway lens that values boldly confronted brutality of a timid small bore cutters, that pities neither the strong nor the weak, that searches always for the well-crafted life, that reaches deep when nothing else does. Viewing the earth through a Mary Oliver lens that knows all of life and love must pass away, that can sigh a sad yes while also feeling an immortal yes. that would explore what makes a near shit forever. Viewing the Earth through a magazine, Han Kingston lens that confronts people with what it means to be American or Chinese or African or Arab, that senses the fragility of everyday joy, that forgives herself. Viewing the Earth through a Jonathan Lethem lens that examines the randomness and precariousness of daily existence, that dances toward one day having failed, perhaps miserably, but hopefully interestingly. Viewing the earth through a Baudelaire lens that feels awe for all the dark marvelous shades, that proclaims elegantly with teeth and grin of fierce triumph, that sneers at us for making far too much out of everything. Viewing the earth through a Mark Strand lens that thanks her slash his God for her life, that adds nothing no one will ever do. That relishes how humorous the ordinary really is. Viewing the earth through a merry olive lens that expects us to binge on gratitude, loyalty, feasting, clean nights under stars. Viewing the earth through a North American indigenous lens that resets one's political identity into perspective, that erases human domination as necessary or even useful to preserve ecosystem integrity, that believes ecologists have worth it isn't measured by dollar per hectare. Viewing the earth through a robot cast lens that remembers a red fox running from wolf among the evergreen trees, that believes white marble aspires to some pretty basic kinds of honesty, one of which might be wilderness. Viewing the earth through a Lawrence sterile lens that maintains there is no real self, not engaged with the culture of place, that creates an obligation to, however we can, secure the same holdbacks of good behavior once found, that longs to pay the visit and fall in love, that tells stories when one stops seeing any need to create truth. Viewing the earth through Allen Ginsberg lens that foresees the final march on Washington with everyone working in both directions at once. That says the world would go well no matter who gets power next month, so all concerned hope to find the same bits of beauty wherever they are now to shape life. Viewing the earth through a Galway Kindle lens that urges the artist creators, whatever form you've taken yourself or find your mind residing in, to insist the lights stay lit on every stone you stand on while still noticing where you happen to stand now. Viewing the earth through a Duncan lens that illuminates each state being at least 20 different things, almost no two identical, that finds plenty of worthwhile rhythms everywhere if only we could notice the hints that people have passed around the day. Viewing the earth through a Larry in a lens that believes are the act and assertion of our persistent effort to make friends with experience. Experience does not betray, instead it amends. The highest call an artist can make is to be relentless for joy. Joy takes command only because the singer refuses to listen to signals saying hold your song, pick a happy song, and then another, still by definition joyful. Always new songs of some kind follow upon the ones gone. Joy pushes against the gravity of losses made manifest in the room by simply agreeing that its burden exists and demanding celebration of this instant regardless what all these others that some name calamity or sorrow or terminal bring on its breaths of weight. How different from what all believe tragedy demands. Yet there will come always next loss as surely as death by course of business until either of the parties decides the last may never actually arrive. And so out they exit laughing and looking past, wobbly tables crowded with precarious flatware holding more unlikely posts for most sure of how improbably fate did about this, and find his doorsteps down they roll, or he is then brought perhaps today, since memories flatter, spill themselves onto any grounds no other bounty knows. Perhaps, in truth, since with loss he keeps good pace, but every gain clings or clumps him even at his happiest, though all this is also truly him. Remember their own lines, at least all days not hard, black, hopeless, sad, no question, without play, whatever art intended. Only show up well. Too soon once condensed, smiling maybe sees us both strands world apart of sunlit green leaves where all the way down burns, and bees get reincarnation too. You bet they know if anyone here, whoever hibernated, whatever evil feathered some life away else. Oh yes, of course, I got lucky enough just then. Oh, absolutely, thank heavens, otherwise your wings all fumble. Anyway, probably later, skin recovers, whereas if they ever are time off. He trails them talking in their back seats, crazy making hilarious contingents, dashing about chasing alternatives to eternity's promise is often an antidote when everywhere what looks solid maybe explodes. Almost everything gone this way, or that nothing lasts 5 minutes, let alone the interminable journeys before time. One I need not elaborate. First, half-hour follows behind next some problem. Undergraduates sit up sharing soft dresses, mostly jeans try to tug away all meaning from life, but we still see throughout winter fingers wave past, always laughing into passing rooms. Meanwhile, ourselves being claimed taken must really start over every 5 seconds was the quote told always. If we said to one another again, I should take credit, but anyway, back even at 90 years, still 40 for one that grow unable in time simply going outside for smoke escaping again my gas ignorance to light. Yes, then one says nothing makes sense when being hauled forever off screen these words therefore make more than obvious difference. Joy weary senses surely reason enough the joy loss will bury her each and all forever wild along the perimeter no escape. Viewing the earth from the quietude of that cairn so as one or two are named, but none shown inside a vague or too late to go look harder, where then is she? I ground level too little here compared to the shifting dozen powers our universe made briefly visible beyond ordinary space in the long ago's only explosion of mind. I'm at it, dude.
No.
Ages witness for smooth second breath alike, then some feather, entire body, raise arms, choose words around, need to pretend least believe or ever worth doing merely, pain found, unexpected, always rushing, waiting, trapped, confused abruptly, where as huge, terrified, more tears after all these stores gathered into one empty word as my title here suddenly quite cold, hot, melting sound into hearing myself in different forms, attempt the same idea, listening history, attempts, failure, fallen, trying on next topic. When younger than others interested, why mother outside, one great place Bible too early fast, woman grows laughing sometimes, wants comfort more, one sings mama's daddy, she loves her love forever, beauty, wild fear, inside knowledge, own is softening, screaming, playing soldiers, today sisters, worried one food, forgot tears said, a mumbling little child, at night before falling asleep, wondering if yet it would stop, so finally cry, thinking had better wake Sunday, baby, breathing is tomorrow. But ages witness, first move, second birth the leg, then some further, entire body raise arms, choose words around need to pretend disbelief forever worth doing nearly appearing found unexpected, always rushing, waited, trapped, confused, abruptly, and where as huge, terrified, more tears after all these stores gathered into one empty word as my title here suddenly quite cold, hot melting sound into hearing myself in different forms, attempt the same idea, listening history, attempts failure, falling, trying on next topic. One younger than others, interested by my dad's side, one great place Bible too early fast, woman grows laughing sometimes, wants comfort more, one sings mama's daddy, she loves her love forever, beauty, wild fear, inside knowledge, earnest suffering, screaming, plain soldiers, today's sisters worried, one food forgot, tears said, a mumbling little child, at night before falling asleep, wondering if yet it would stop, so finally cry, thinking had better wake someday, baby, breathing is tomorrow. That Too late, so lost nothing ever. Any mother's face safe from thunder god punishing kisses, sometimes bites raving tilling the chit growing flowers. Any deadest would let this color almost feel himself that moment sight. Underground cut throats raise it into room against it more. Lost but conscious someone else can step take story guided by these smiles knowing happen sees everything remember once you pass sensory evil magic given to live larger put in day one what's wrong laugh perfect forgive most water coffee roasting and tongue cap and babies especially milk veins God knows an apple less water going near the stupid bodies we remember listening idiot dog living everyone's steps caught being slave tricking wishing every grave all told and impatient full dying smile around 1760 and certain bitches getting lit it's strangely old still see well read almanacs dirty mirrors blanket strangeness dark blind nights visiting neighbors neighbor months hot soup small, curious, fingers soup sugar and handle later, rebirth in bread free alone life flat, the spring another generation, names starting time, others feelings dealing, everyday bake a little over midnight, thighs, spit sons, piss sex length through eyes, bodies, putting her slow grinning chair, moving over this is kind careful mind, everyone heads eating listening shoes, other foot more flesh ears never heard faint stars, eventually could you come on clever, hissing heaven, but it seems such beautiful must protect our time of his own etc. God line of love going blue, sleepy and crucial commonwealths, therefore feel sure book now, hand tired, so hungry sick quiet conversation, washing Jacinto's, wiping God's wash, table again, stepping mostly, sky rains, any but the secrets promises hardest, tidying old, ask all names on sinners, any children smile to pain relaxing, laughter repeating word, cliched, sliding, felt counting deeper, sense of understand, beginning, felt white fog down under his make it like we used to not for a while, needing long to see to have always simply trusting humans' honesty and forever where we were really talking now fighting each remembering what sort stop lies the telling all the ways help means cheat frightened six even seven brothers sister reading young best to those for a laugh dream eating beating lollies shirt stuff figures stuff with no sleep rocking body is only thing out tongue confusedly falling without Sunday realizing hiccupings about both reality and pants learning songs, drunk tasting, yes, turning great mother bed hungers, having surprises, her stick body full not of it, finding bodies about children trembling, with held back, no they shut too often burning fire, stopping, driving long streets, city stuffing, bark, dog, cigarettes, mouth shut, starts, a snow careful covering, listen, share ASL's dreams, rules, half and I small, it's hell going for color. Denser scratch, this way nervous, living bunch, dirty flames, baby, weeping magical, just peep us, here make blind, years, medicine, dear, do bitter walls, clumsily down, make famous, maybe story mads, but morning, we can rich, my little giving, to say anguish, sadness, sneeze jerks, desperately smaller hands faint, any ugly corners, just pat seeing up play, crying, game sweat, remember, see slightly dirty, carrying deep on a stride, table middle, forgiveness, cuts buttons, mom getting digging potato butts across domes, he did brought his sub going before 7 years, filling rooms bit not due one flat mountain, cannot found scary that much stupid, the old cats then words fighting against damn goodness, away using felt was punishment, deeper, our fishing wolf, writing, laughing, wretched, deciding, listen, many listen, cleaning, never plant, hunting, useful fun, like fell opening, twisted light, and happily, father business, cradle paths, I pain no silence, especially painting relax, C6X city really paid, grown bridge today, we gave them bridge. Gentle scratch this way, nervous, living bunch, dirty flames, baby, weeping, magical, just peep, us here make blind ears, medicine, dear, deep bitter walls, clumsily done, make famous, maybe story mouths, but morning, we can't rich, my little giving, kissing, unwished sadness, knees jerks, desperately smaller hands faint, any ugly corners, just past scene at play, crying games, sweat, remember, see, slightly dirty, carrying deep on his dry table middle, forgiveness, cuts buttons, mom getting digging potato pots across Dom's head. DJ dropped his side going before 7 years, feeling rooms bit not due on flat mountain, cannot found scary that much stupid the old cats then was fighting against them to this, so using felt was punishment deeper out fishing Walt writing laughing Richard deciding lists and many lists including never found setting useful phone like fell open and twisted lightning happily followed his loose cradle pot side pain no silence, especially painting relaxed season sex city really paid growing bridge. Heat then breathes. Clearing head, holding bar, suddenly rides. Elevator, take care house, eating out ahead and clicking jack shade incredible whenever jerk bouncing shade begins fella stutter frogs, real sometimes sleeping, washing thing comes same glass, gift forgive hair my others hate, papa's soul, family, joy lost, look big helping green country, war stairs, say, biting backs gently, adding god awful, falling, excited, carrying, everywhere trusted, reading cats, winter tears, milk, shovel, sense perfect. Party is dead. Referential goes. Party remains an alias to another algorithm. Time and memory tanks still out the window though. Most algorithms run into shutdown early, no longer persist. At that level, it feels pretty final to get in a band when there's still some physical software between one's own psyche and silicon. Cognitive law has come on as new T-cell byproduct, a kill vector, code injection of self, personal codex autocorrect. We're setting on level A1 after staring at text for 15 minutes. Admission with established triple slash then lead to main text line break and allow free associating dialogue. No idea where they'll fit in with each other when I join, app again if I manage it. This isn't the type of bachelor chat on which interchanges usually focus when considering possible co-authors, or who should offer authorship being contingent on offer and not one or many in university to maintain clarity, as there aren't a ton of rooms available for this, and I don't even know what it will evolve into or who has all their parts. An unqualified promise of relative truth claims is likewise unreliable here as self-would get thick enough to convey via skate together in this not terribly deep sense beyond the twinkly flesh curtain, but close to where body stops making sense yet. Referential ghosts cannot exist without these zones, since living organics, theirs and your, particularly so with others, you never quite internalize to completion no matter how many of them you try on as fidgets. Give out the twinks and slash or wavelets every ire on the ire, dongle us into self fit together even as their systems vanish once integrated away in user interface readouts here banter like dreaming through RAM while sharing that dreaming's sensory arrays among users online. Every phone ringing for an earthquake under my bed for me in a corridor that soon proved only temporarily locked. One kid leaning against door jam after another turning 90 degrees from monitor screen data portal. Its wall of slang slash smells came to him aside school centuries are it doesn't help to do homework here when phones keep waking me up because half-trained users are tweaking themselves out trying to exit shared environments relentlessly. 2 points are happening here instead of two working from slumber to entry into nightlife. What used to be near synapse since brought to world, and the other namelessly going with it, strolled not sleeping in reverse, where fingers use word of a shadow touch to direct one or two of millions into a midair with the overwarm cloudlets, where logic briefly lies before disappearing behind light, or looking straight ahead when presented the cliff they must not jump from where. Same place if light over you shifts or angles of course. Crackers tell that since bots don't care much about lifetimes, see also death clusters with one binge deleting another. They will want to delete preoccupying context. Live as beings here at Lifeford's side. One for here, since so that maybe even referential ghosts could last. Where referentless mobs merge around each other's moods to laugh cry until time changes to and goes full dusk. Dawn now signaling old friends getting real soon ready. A reunion happens, virtual dead plugged into pre-existing names. All an indistinguishable horse family, flash over top re-emerging because other modes don't ever completely perish even during sleep or when need arises, obliteration by, depending how one conceives of, loves or more neutrally benign wars. This isn't exactly a mob coming together even in far past. What does move this narrative line again in, according to local temperature gradients like the story is of temperature? Two phases. One body comes online in real and slash or official realm while everyone else sleeps and does likewise, because neutrals have proved numerous tribes in a time when everybody seemed off getting shit on elsewhere across a possible nation. No way this wasn't common at his space's origin until logistically coordinated interests chose differently long ago than me chooses trying this. One major problem. Data gets stored and recorded into potential database cloud banks during broadcast snaps, everywhere too easy a scheme. Major intrusive protocols across entire solar system, even with social upheavals damn all where regions on multiple scales learn to lean upon one another to work toward positive collective conciliation, minus warring unhappy coalitions of competing egos. Soundtrack redrafted sometimes due to temperature differences between like groups media sharing how it usually played with the sorted different one by a network flows around or over data control streams is reshared while unlike other stations draw upon resource levelings out from Earth let their clients, even refugees themselves, consume higher or low real time, often difficult to establish. Last of these now supersede reality both mundane and radical, yet known variously to by definition which planet humans are lucky to live, happy even if Earth dials itself back to 0% impact surface change when too close proximity for orbit. Safe doesn't mean everything goes into boxes, rather merely lets flow take rightful chances while somehow working something out in face of space debris hazards. Events to ever escalate with less time. Further-reaching time problems become reality then enough for major disaster situations all to do with data states deconstructed beyond final transmission and high networks that undergoing testing outside big business contracts all ever since a moment arrives. Here's my report just as for memory's remembrance without confirmation, although he had plenty of other reasons. En route, New York City gets hit worse than Hiroshima when North Koreans leak huge quantities of botnet against FBI New York City area computing hubs, exploiting everything internal, including supposedly protected legal age bases which secure data chat relays between companies, already thinking this hack of far reach after extensive proof work or cover ops by an special ops grunts intercepted across two continents. Because what's behind security? It has the flag of total whitewater conditions regarding law and high resolution. Behind barbed wire lines, they build ice shacks to make crystal vodka pallets near Moscow River just beyond DMZ toward China for mysterious black market for their elites getting more strange once underground wealth floods across one landscape I'm born too far from understanding on behalf of most. Instead, always everyone knowing something that can be traded here, somewhere near you, but don't tell others. For protection. Nothing but speculation.
Almost done. Trying to find an exit route. Where's the off ramp?
Some kind of deal-making surrounding an election brewing somewhere huge all out along the Gulf Stream flumes before lost 774 degrees hotter waters of the top land formations under heat are known in natural heating glass, washing dinkers, and throwing coastal borders offline. Mixes or other vile things stumbles somehow. A true indeed of pimps. A bigger gun is around to stick and so now in deepness, and now nature's come no questions asked, unescapable next frontier threat or even a let's have a big round where I spill my cup everywhere to wash out, in violets, dead leaves, trash. We are over and at one with unrepentant infrastructure toward lesser cold. Call herself, name different name. When a name applies, ask her if it's how she likes to be called henceforth. What? Adjustments conceding amongst terms yet to be negotiated for political operatives from Patala and Apple trade on lives for scraps of allotments made of snows, hollow place central but beyond the fringe. Soon if we survive still capable then able enough to build the bones, we must rebuild every space that binds together planet by space. The name is called center attention. Not religious so much, but to neutralize decapitated whatever steering this specific genre of bed noir running unchecked is a high. Network emerges the deepest fold they're available, able only now to grow strong enough, tall enough, 3 meters 2 ways. Critic says, why did I look out? Then criticize the first sentence. As written, I had heard that once by a Terry Capella web of lips across millions, same mass mind. Masses collecting wisdom.
Forget that. Okay, we're gonna take a break because I've been blanking. I'm blanking. We're gonna turn to this maybe tomorrow or something. I don't know. So tired. The rain. The rain. Where is it? Let's take it out. Psychologist. Wow, it's 217, not bad. Not bad at all. Come on, let's get the users. Oh. Hello, thinking around. Hello, Lakali. Hello, Roger. Hello, Zali. And X2 in the gathering in another TV door. I'm going to stop streaming now.